After a 92nd minute winner that secured Newcastle into the Carabao Cup semi-finals.
A great day, I'm breathing, I'm healthy, I'm happy to be at work.
So from the scary Yoane Wissa weapon
yeah, he's not a bad day in office.
to a versatile Miley masterclass.
Yeah, it was a great feeling.
To Newcastle holding talks over a potential move for Ruben Neves, to a potential new fullback signing.
Perfect.
Plus, what's the latest on the injury front? As per, join us as we'll break it all down and discuss the 5 things we learned from Fulham 1 Newcastle United 2.
Let's go.
So firstly, we finally got to see what Yoane Wissa is really about, and it didn't take long for him to make his mark. The goal itself might have looked simple, but it really wasn't. Wissa did exactly what top attackers are meant to do. He found space, arrived at the right moment, and kept his composure to finish. If you play EA, you'd call that elite attacking positioning. He could easily have had another 1 or 2 in the first half as well. He was constantly moving, pulling defenders out of position, and bringing an element of unpredictability that Newcastle have been missing. For a full debut, it was genuinely very promising, and his overall display earned him a 7.1 match rating. What makes it even more impressive is how little of the ball he actually needed. He only had 18 touches all game, completed 6 of his 10 passes, took 2 shots, and still walked away with a goal. That goal meant a lot too. After joining Newcastle in a £50 million summer move, Wissa picked up an injury almost immediately and ended up missing around 20 matches. 3 months out, plenty of frustration, and then he comes back and scores just 10 minutes into his first full start for the club. Since returning, he's already scored more goals for Newcastle than Florian Wirtz has managed for Liverpool, which says plenty about his impact despite limited minutes. After the match, Wissa spoke with a smile on his face, and you could tell how much it meant to him.
yeah, he's not a bad day in office. We wanted to bounce back from the weekend, so everyone knows. I think we've done pretty well. We showed like a lot of character, a lot of envy, and going forward, I'm very pleased with the performance today.
It took you just 10 minutes to get on the score sheet. Just talk us through that goal of yours.
I was dreaming about it a couple of months ago. Now I've got my first goal with the shirt. It's so special for me. This is where I wanted to be. This is where I needed to be, and I had to tap in. So quite happy with the goal today.
And what were your emotions after the goal? You've obviously had to wait a long time for that. You probably thought it would have come sooner rather than now. But how did you feel after that ball hit the back of the net?
It's my story, you know. No story is like on the same line, but I really wanted to score earlier, but unfortunately I was injured and come back from the injury. Had a quite intense work with the medical staff, so that's goal for them. I want to thank them because, you know, when you first arrive from injured players, especially when you don't know him, made them try with work hard with the medical staff. So this goal is for them. I wanted to thank them deeply because it's not easy, but quite happy today.
And now you've got the first goal. Just how determined are you to try and build on this and add to your tally in the season?
Yeah, for sure. Now we need to build up. I need to build up now because the team now start to understand me more and more, the way I play, etc. I think now I need to help the team as much as I can, and hopefully I can score more goals.
You joined the club in the summer. Obviously, you weren't part of last year's Carabao Cup winning squad. You're now one round away from Wembley. Is there a real sense to try and repeat what you did last year and play your part in this club's history?
For sure. I want to do it. A trophy is not something everyone can achieve. So I want to do it, and I know I'm in the right place to achieve that.
And now you've got Chelsea on Saturday. Given tonight's result and how it played out, how much will that benefit the group going into that one on Saturday?
I think it's good. The confidence needs to be definitely higher. As I said, because of the weekend. Now we won and we just move on. The game is we got another game. We need to enjoy tonight, rest tomorrow, and just looking forward for the Saturday game. This is where we need to be. This is our head where now we need to focus on, and just beat Chelsea is going to be another 3 points at home.
Yeah, big moment for him. I think whenever you come to a new club, you want to make a good start and a good first impression. And unfortunately for Yoane, he got injured on international duty, as you say, and then it was not a small injury. He had to wait a long time. And his first experiences in Newcastle in the treatment room, it's never easy for any player, and even one of his experience. But he's worked really hard to get himself fit. He's trained for albeit a short period. He's been impressive, and it was a typical Yoane Wissa goal today. He's in the right place at the right time, puts it away really well, and I'm just pleased it was so quick in the game, and he's got his goal, and now he can enjoy his time here.
Then there's the versatile Miley, who once again showed why people are so excited about him. Asked to play out of position at right back, he handled it with unbelievable maturity. He stayed calm, dealt with danger well, and didn't get dribbled past once. He finished the game with an 8.4 rating, which tells its own story. As the match went on, he grew in confidence, started stepping higher up the pitch, drifting inside, and basically owning the entire right side. By the time the second half rolled around, he was everywhere, and the numbers back it all up. Miley had 91 touches, won 10 duels, made 5 tackles, won possession 4 times, made 2 clearances, and had 5 touches in the opposition box. He also took 2 shots, both on target, before topping it all off with that stoppage time winning header. No one on the pitch won more duels or made more tackles than him, and for a teenager playing out of position, that's ridiculous. When Newcastle needed someone to step up, Miley did exactly that. He forced the corner late on, stayed alert, and then popped up in stoppage time to head home the winner. For a teenager to do that, in that moment, says everything about his mentality. That goal added to an incredible list already. Winning goal in a Carabao Cup quarter-final, youngest Newcastle goal scorer in the Champions League, and now excelling at right back. He's growing in stature every single time he plays. Afterwards, you could hear the emotion in his voice. He talked about how buzzing he was, how he just tried to flick it on and saw it go in, and how unreal the feeling was for someone who grew up supporting the club.
Yeah, I think that was great for us to get a winning goal. I think we needed something like that after the result of the weekend. I think it's a great feeling for us to go again on Saturday.
What pulled you through?
I think we just need to keep going, really. We had a lot of chances. I think we were just unlucky in them, and then I got the head, and luckily it went in the back of the net. I was buzzing.
Well, did you think you'd scored just before it?
Yeah, I was kept trying to get in the box, and then I just thought I'm going to try and get my head on this, and I saw it go in the net, and yeah, I couldn't be any happier, really.
But the one that was saved just before it?
Yeah, that led up to the corner, to be honest, so I was gutted about that. I thought I maybe should have scored, but then I scored after that, so no, I was buzzing.
You could sense the relief in
progress again at the final.
And sum up, you mentioned it, the weekend was so hard. Eddie Howe said that tonight we need to be defined by what we do on the pitch. So what was it that you felt you needed most of all to have?
Yeah, I think it was a great performance tonight. I think we stuck together as a team. Obviously, it was 1-1 for a long time. I think we could have went under, but I think we just kept going as a team, and we got that goal at the end that we deserved.
Did you feel it was coming, that winner?
Yeah, definitely. I think we've needed that look at the minute. I think obviously it hasn't went our way recently, but I think getting that goal tonight, I think we deserved that.
And you found the goal-scoring touch?
Yeah, definitely. I've scored a couple of goals the past couple of weeks, which I'm really happy about. Hopefully I can keep doing it.
Local boy, local hero, match winner. Well done.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you.
Eddie Howe was full of praise too, and rightly so. He pointed out that Miley hasn't played much at right back, but took on instructions brilliantly, played with confidence, and finished the chance superbly. Howe also made it clear that Miley believes he belongs at this level, and performances like this are proving him right.
Yeah, I mean, he's turning into a very, very important player for us, as we knew he would. I was going to say when I first started to watch him play, 2 years, maybe more. Fantastic talent. He's got a great head on his shoulders, and the respect that he's very level and calm. And that helped when I said I was going to play him right back this morning. But he was able just to absorb it and just went, yeah, no problem. And then we talked through what we needed him to do, and he did it brilliantly. And the goal was just sort of fitting reward for his attitude, really, and how he played today.
It was his first Premier League goal against Fulham almost 2 years ago to this day. You've been pleased with the progression he's made in that time since scoring his first Premier League goal?
Yeah, I think there's always ups and downs for every player, and how they develop and how they make their way into the team. The hardest transition, I think, for any young player is to force their way into become a regular into the starting lineup. It's very, very difficult at this level with the quality of the players that we have. But I think he's on the way to doing that now. He's had a few injury problems, different setbacks, but he's always worked with the right attitude, with the belief that he is a top player, and with the qualities that he has. I mean, his training performances this year, I'd say, behind the sort of camera, away from the camera, and the glare has been very, very good. Been very pleased with his focus and how much he wants to play for the club.
At just 19, he's already delivering massive moments in big competitions, and watching his rise right now is one of the best things about this Newcastle side. Miley's player of the match performance didn't just win the game, it quite literally saved Newcastle from going to penalties or crashing out altogether. It also papered over the cracks for a few players who Newcastle has outgrown and were badly underperforming on the night, Joe Willock included. It feels a long way from where Willock started on Tyneside. Back in the second half of the 2020-21 season, while on loan from Arsenal, he went on an incredible run, scoring in 7 consecutive matches. That spell was nothing short of phenomenal, and played a huge role in convincing Newcastle to spend £25 million to bring him in permanently in the summer of 2021. At the time, it felt like a no-brainer. Unfortunately, he's never really reached those heights again. Since that breakout campaign, when he scored 11 goals across Arsenal and Newcastle in all competitions, Willock hasn't managed more than 3 goals in a single season. The numbers across his Newcastle career paint a pretty clear picture. After that explosive start, his goal return has steadily declined year by year, and this season he's yet to score at all. Against Fulham on Wednesday night, Willock's 6.3 rating summed things up. It wasn't a one-off bad game. It was a familiar performance. He won just 2 of his 7 ground duels and lost all 3 aerial duels. Even more worrying for a central midfielder, he failed to make a single tackle or interception during his 72 minutes on the pitch. On the ball, things weren't any better. Willock didn't register a single shot, didn't create any big chances, and didn't really offer any attacking threat at all. He finished the game with just 40 touches, which was actually fewer than goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale, who had 47. For a midfielder meant to drive the team forward, that tells its own story. When SandroTonali came on for the final 18 minutes, the contrast was stark. Tonali posted a 7.4 rating in a short cameo that highlighted the gap in quality between the two. He won 5 of his 7 duels, completed 88% of his passes, and delivered the corner that Miley headed home for the winner. The difference in composure, influence, and effectiveness was obvious. The uncomfortable truth is that this wasn't an isolated poor showing from Willock. In the Premier League this season, he's lost 83% of his aerial duels and is still without a goal or assist after 7 appearances, only 2 of which have been starts. On top of that, he's averaging just 0.4 key passes per game, meaning he's not even proving creative value to offset his lack of goals. All of this explains why questions are being asked more loudly now. The stats, the eye test, and the impact of Tonali when he comes on all point in the same direction. Willock looks a long way removed from the player who took the league by storm in 2021, and right now, there's a strong argument that he should be dropped immediately in favour of someone offering far more quality and control in midfield. Then moving on to the cost, Newcastle United may have booked their place in the Carabao Cup semi-finals with the win over Fulham, but it definitely didn't come without consequences. One of the biggest concerns on the night was Tyno, who really struggled before his game was cut short by injury. Livramento endured a very difficult first half, full of loose touches and misplaced passes, and he looked uncomfortable playing on the left side. Being forced to constantly cut inside onto his right foot caused real problems, both for him and for the team's balance. He even passed up a very good chance to score, which summed up his night. He finished the match with a 5.8 rating, and defensively the numbers were worrying. He didn't win a single tackle, interception, clearance or blocked shot, managed just 3 recoveries, lost all 5 of his ground duels and his only aerial duel, while offering just 1 key pass. His 3 crosses failed to find a teammate, and although he had 58 touches, there was very little end product. Things went from bad to worse when Livramento was forced off injured in the second half, and the sight of him leaving the pitch in pain was immediately concerning. That's another defensive injury Newcastle simply can't afford, especially with fixtures piling up over the festive period and options at the back already running thin. Speaking after the game, Eddie Howe didn't hide his concern when asked about Livramento's condition. He admitted there wasn't much clarity yet, but the signs weren't encouraging, saying it was worrying that Livramento had to come off in that manner and stressing how stretched Newcastle already are in that area of the pitch. To make matters worse, Lewis Hall was ruled out before kickoff with yet another hamstring problem. While Howe didn't go into detail on that injury, it feels safe to assume the 21-year-old is set to miss at least a few games as well, adding further strain to an already depleted defense. There was, however, a more reassuring performance at the heart of the back line from Malik Chow. The centre-back quietly went about his business, winning the vast majority of his duels, looking comfortable in possession, and rarely putting a foot wrong. He didn't do anything flashy or eye-catching, but sometimes that's exactly what you want from a defender. He dealt well with a dangerous ball into the box late on, heading clear under pressure, and finished with a strong 7.5 rating. Statistically, it backed up the eye test too. He won all 3 of his tackles, made 5 clearances, 4 recoveries, and won 3 of his 4 ground duels and 3 of his 5 aerial duels. On the ball, he completed 92% of his passes, including 87% in the opposition half and 97% in his own, while also completing 4 of his 5 long balls. He finished the night with 87 touches and looked composed throughout. Alongside him, Fabian Schär once again showed his value in possession. His cross-field pass to release Jacob Murphy was absolutely sublime and played a huge part in Newcastle's opening goal, something that shouldn't be overlooked. Schär ended the game with a 7.0 rating and produced a solid all-round display. He made 5 clearances, won 3 of his 6 aerial duels, wasn't dribbled past once, and completed 89% of his passes overall. Impressively, he was perfect with his passing in his own half, completing all 40 attempts, while also attempting 17 long balls, 11 of which found their target. He had 82 touches and was, as ever, a key part of Newcastle's build-up play. Unfortunately, there was a sting in the tail for Schär. The defender picked up his second yellow card of the competition during the win, meaning he will now miss the first leg of Newcastle's Carabao Cup semi-final against Manchester City at St James's Park next month. Given his importance, that's another blow Eddie Howe will have to contend with as injuries and suspensions continue to pile up at the worst possible time. Sticking with the absenteeism situation, Keith Downey has now shed some light on why Joelinton hasn't featured in Newcastle's last 3 games. Eddie Howe confirmed that the Brazilian has been managing a groin issue, and while he's technically fit, he's nowhere near 100%. Howe explained that Joelinton would only be used in an absolute emergency situation, something like defending a late corner in the dying moments of a match. He's still training with the squad, but the manager admitted he isn't able to execute everything normally, which explains his absence despite being around the first team. All of this just underlines how badly injuries are hitting Newcastle right now. The club currently sits among the worst affected sides in the league for injuries this season, and unlike teams such as Arsenal and others with huge squads, Newcastle simply don't have the depth to absorb it. When key players go down, the drop-off is felt immediately, and it's forcing Eddie Howe into constant compromises just to field a balanced team. And according to the Northern Echo, Howe has already hinted at how stretched things are defensively, confirming that Newcastle could consider recalling Matt Targett from his loan spell at Middlesbrough in January. No final decision has been made yet, but Howe's comment said it all when he admitted he doesn't have many more rabbits to pull out of the hat. Targett has impressed during his spell there, playing both centrally and at left back, and he's a player Eddie Howe knows well and trusts. That really sums up the situation the club finds itself in right now. Despite that, with the January transfer window approaching, there may still be another option to explore. Graham Bailey has reported that Sacha Boey's representatives are speaking to several clubs ahead of a potential move to England. The Bayern Munich fullback, who only joined from Galatasaray last January, is currently viewed as more of a squad player under Vincent Kompany and has reportedly been told he can leave, with Bayern open to a loan deal. Crystal Palace are one of the clubs monitoring the situation, especially with Daniel Munoz sidelined for up to 2 months following knee surgery. Newcastle are also aware of Boey's availability and have been kept informed of his situation as they continue to look for defensive reinforcements. The timing makes sense given Newcastle's growing list of problems at the back. Dan Burns suffered a punctured lung in the derby defeat to Sunderland. Emil Kraft has been struggling with his fitness, and the situation became so desperate that Lewis Miley had to be pushed out to full back for the Carabao Cup quarter-final against Fulham. A move that worked brilliantly but highlights just how thin options are. As for Boey, there were claims earlier this month that Crystal Palace had already submitted a concrete offer, which prompted reports suggesting they're currently feeling out the terms and fully assessing the player's situation. Boey had previously been linked with clubs like Arsenal and Manchester United before moving to Bayern, and it now feels increasingly likely that he could finally end up in the Premier League, possibly with Newcastle or Palace. That said, with 18-year-old defender Leo Shahar training with the Newcastle first team this week, there's also a strong argument that the club should look inward as well as outward. Injury crises have a habit of creating opportunities, and it's worth remembering that Miley's rise came under similar circumstances. We're seeing the same thing at Arsenal right now, with youngsters like Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri shining because they were trusted during difficult periods. Given the scale of Newcastle's injury problems, this could be the perfect moment for another academy player to step up and make their mark. Then, in another transfer development, Newcastle United have reportedly held discussions about a possible move for Al Hilal and Portugal midfielder Ruben Neves, with journalist Graham Bailey claiming the Magpies are keeping a close eye on his situation. Manchester United are also said to be admirers of the 28-year-old, as uncertainty continues to surround his future in Saudi Arabia. Neves is currently tied down at Al Hilal until June 2026 on a huge £340,000 a week contract, but reports suggest the Saudi club are struggling to agree fresh terms with him. Newcastle are believed to have spoken to intermediaries about what a potential deal could look like, with the January transfer window now firmly on the horizon and interest growing from several European sides. According to Bailey, Al Hilal are actively exploring the possibility of selling, and his representatives have been sounding out clubs across Europe to assess the level of interest. After spending 2.5 years in Saudi Arabia, the midfielder is thought to be weighing up a return to European football and has told his agent that he's open to closing this chapter of his career. Of course, is no stranger to English football. He left Wolves in 2023 after 6 years at Molineux, where he made 253 appearances in all competitions, including 177 in the Premier League. During that spell, he scored 30 goals and provided 13 assists, building a reputation as one of the league's most technically gifted deep-lying midfielders. While clubs in Italy, Germany, Spain and Portugal are also monitoring his availability, a return to England is reportedly an attractive option. That's where Newcastle's interest becomes particularly intriguing, especially given Eddie Howe's current midfield setup. On paper, Newcastle are well stocked in central areas, with Bruno Guimaraes, SandroTonali, Joelinton, Jacob Ramsey, Lewis Miley and Joe Willock all currently fit and available. Bringing in another midfielder of Neves's profile would almost certainly require movement in the opposite direction. Howe has leaned heavily on the trio of Guimaraes, Tonali and Joelinton throughout the campaign, while Ramsey has struggled for rhythm after fitness problems following his move from Aston Villa. Willock, meanwhile, appears to be the odd one out. Despite having a contract running until June 2027, he has managed just 218 minutes of Premier League action this season and currently sits at the bottom of the midfield pecking order. With January approaching, Neves's situation is one to watch closely. Newcastle's interest seems genuine, but whether it develops into something concrete may depend less on Neves himself, and more on what the Magpies decide to do with their current midfield options. And then finally, there's another exciting Newcastle target being lined up for the January transfer window. Click the video link on screen now to find out more details behind the move.